My name is Paulami Pandit. I am a counseling psychologist. I am a trainer in cognitive hypnotic psychotherapy, and as a trainer I am associated to Institute of Clinical Hypnosis and Related Sciences. I also have a private practice, one in the center, the one I mentioned, and one at Healing Hands, which is a clinic. Along with that, I am also very passionate about women and maternal health, so I am a hypnobirthing practitioner as well. So that's about me. And about today's topic, it is limitations of therapy. So by therapy over here I mean limitations of psychotherapy. Alright. Now this is an extension of what we spoke last time. Okay, we spoke about integrating approaches. So it will have elements of that, and we will take it forward from there on. Okay. So what is psychotherapy? Now this is the technical definition, that it's a treatment of emotional, behavioral, personality and psychiatric disorders based on verbal, non-verbal communication interventions with the patient or client. So patient is used for psychiatrists, psychologists or counselors use the word client more than that. And it is different from any kind of chemical or physical treatment per se, in terms of we do not provide any kind of medication to our clients. Alright, so that is the difference between a medical practitioner, a doctor who's done MBBS and specializes in mental health, as compared to somebody who's done masters in mental health or counseling psychology, clinical psychology, different areas. Yeah. Now some of you already would be having an idea of what therapy or psychotherapy is all about. So can I just get some inputs from your end? What do you think psychotherapy is?
No, if somebody is derailed, then psychotherapists help him to come on the track.
To come on the track? Somebody else was also saying something.
Mental disability.
Mental disability, okay. Treatment of mental disability, okay, okay.
Behavioral changes.
Behavioral changes, okay. Anything else?
It is
Sorry?
mind, body and mind, where to first distinguish body and mind. The disturbances in the mind which need to be corrected,
Okay.
and the most likely to be corrected by people who are psychiatrists, psychologists.
Okay.
It could be like upgradation of software.
Upgradation of software, okay. So everything put together would more or less define the nature of therapies. Alright. So you can say it's a kind of, people may have some sort of a disability in the mind. Now that's a very
Crude.
yeah, for the lack of word, it's a very lay term. It's not a very polite term to use. So we do not say mental disability per se. We just say that, you know, a person may be having some difficulties. That is how we address it. Other than that, when we talk about upgrading, it's like upgrading our software, or it's about creating some behavioral changes. Or when we say it's about understanding the mind-body synchrony and then working upon it. All of it put together is a part of psychology. Okay? Some or the other therapy would be catering to it in some way or the other, directly or indirectly. Alright? With this, we move ahead and we just speak about all of this in technicality. When I say it is done by a professional, it is done by a trained personnel. Okay, so psychology will have its different branches like clinical, counseling and so on. Some people only work with rehabilitation centers. Some people have their private practice the way I do. Some people have their setup in terms of their practice when it comes to some educational institutes, when they are school counselors and college counselors. On the other hand, there are psychologists who will work in association with a psychiatrist. You know, generally clinical psychologists would work in that direction, or many a times there would be people who would be working with NGOs. Okay, so there are different areas where you will see a lot of mental health professionals. Okay, now these are very broad categories, different ways in which, different areas where you have counselors and you have therapists. Abroad there are finer divisions of it. Okay, so there would be a special therapist for marriage, there would be a special therapist for adolescent, and there would be a special therapist for, let's say, premarital counseling and so on and so forth. Over here, we don't have that kind of a division. People have a mixture of roles, okay, and it's like lesser specializations comparatively because our field is still growing over here. Although there are special educators and child psychologists which cater to only that population, but otherwise when it comes to adults and when it comes to, let's say, adolescents, there need not be a very stringent bifurcation unless the therapist himself or herself decides to put it across. Okay, so sometimes people say we only deal with adolescents, that's our speciality, that's our interest area. They may be only dealing with that, or they may have like a specific age group with which they work. Alright. So when we talk about therapy, what does the word therapy mean? Any idea? As we move ahead. Treatment, which is one way of looking at it. Yes, it does some sort of treatment. Technical term would be therapy is some sort of a theoretical backing, some work done about it and its application. That's why therapy. Okay. So psychotherapy can be conducted for different people. It could be individuals where you are one-on-one, it could be with groups, it could be with family, relationship, couples. I've just clubbed family relationships together, alright. It could also be a relationship issue other than a husband-wife issue. It could simply be somebody who's not in a you can say a married kind of a bond. It could be a different kind of relationship also. It could also mean family but relationship between just parent and child. Alright. So there are different versions, I've just clubbed it together. Okay. So what is individual therapy? Any idea? Individual is just one-on-one. Okay. So let's say there is somebody who has any kind of difficulty or any kind of resolution to be made or any kind of area of improvement that they may have. That will be one-to-one counseling that is done. The schedule is as per the therapist's and the client's convenience. Okay, they'll book appointments accordingly, and then accordingly the plan of action would be devised based on the needs and the qualifications of the therapist. So the needs of the client and qualifications of the therapist. Alright, so here the entire session is focused on one person. Okay, so let's say somebody comes and says, I have this issue with, let's say, public speaking. I cannot be, standing on stage and talking to people or in front of people. So that will be one-to-one work that will be done with this person because it's about this person that this one is talking about. Okay, so it's related. Or it could also be that I would like to improve my relationship with, let's say, my partner, but I get angry and I need to do something about it. So again, you are kind of contributing to that family also, but you're working with an individual. That is individual therapy. Now this kind, along with its qualities of focus and getting a customized plan, a tailor-made plan for the individual, will have its own share of limitations. Okay. When I use the word limitations over here, people then ask that, okay, what is a disadvantage there? Any idea what's the difference between limitation and disadvantage?
Disadvantage is a negative effect. Limitations is you can improve up to a certain limit.
To a certain limit.
Certain limit. You cannot
So,
go beyond.
Perfect. So disadvantage is more like a side effect that it would happen if these things take place. Limitation is where it can be worked upon but it doesn't exist. So for example, let's say a medicine works very well for the eye, but it does not work very well for the heart. So that is a limitation, it's made for the eye. Maybe in the future, maybe everything can be made like that. Let's say this medication creates some side effects like maybe cold and cough. So then, this becomes a disadvantage. Understood the difference between disadvantage and limitations? So limitations and disadvantage, I mean, that's the difference and I should be explaining this. But overall, when I talk about limitations over here, elements of it would also be some sort of a disadvantage. Alright, so it's generally used interchangeably when we interact. And this entire topic, although technical, I've tried to make it as, make it as simplistic as possible. Okay? So the limitations would be it's more expensive than group therapy because it's one-on-one. Let's say a therapist charges X amount for a group therapy, you know, for one session. But when it comes to an individual, that exact cost will have to be managed by the individual. Okay? Clients can feel a little demotivated. They are the only one working towards something.
But it can be advantage also.
It can have its advantage, absolutely. It can have its own advantage that I have my customized treatment.
Customized.
Many a times because people may feel I'm the only one trying to struggle, I'm only person trying to make some efforts, and there is no additional support. Like therapist is working with me, but I need somebody to, you know, kind of push me ahead. It's like going to the gym, how people will have their instructors. But if you have, let's say, a group around you which will say, okay, fine, no problem, you know, even I lost 2 kgs, it takes time and you'll do it. It's that kind of an element which may go missing in an individual session. Alright, a skilled therapist should ideally be able to look after this as well. But this is something which cannot be completely controlled. It's a possibility that at one point in time, individuals may feel so. Alright, so this is some of the limitations of individual therapy. Then when I talk about group can be like a support group. It could also be like a group where we are discussing educative topics, educative sessions. It could be a therapy based group as well. Alright, so when we talk about AA, Alcohol Anonymous, that is more like a support group. Yeah. On the other hand, when we, let's say, talk about a rehabilitation center where there is a trained professional sits with, say, a number of people discussing their areas, then it becomes more of a therapy group. So that is the difference. Alright. When we talk about group therapy, it is again it is done by a trained professional since it's therapy. Alright. And it can be having some sort of a capacity from 5 to 15 depending on what the therapist is comfortable with. They generally have planned sessions when it comes to group. And at the same time, obviously, individuals who belong to that group will have the same kind of issue. So this works very well with people, let's say, who belong to families where they have somebody who has some mental illness. So families of people who have schizophrenia, or maybe groups for them specially, or maybe for people who are, let's say, who are admitted to some rehabilitation center, de-addiction center, and where they are supposed to meet up and discuss on the same kind of a problem. Or different kinds of groups that are available. Sometimes people have it for things like bipolar disorder also, like, you know, people who are recovering and motivating them, and so on and so forth. So many therapists, many doctors also encourage people to have like a conversation like this, have a group, because it's a support group. A very popular one would be the breast cancer support group. We must be hearing a lot about that, cancer support groups, and people meet up, families meet up, interact with each other. That's a form of support group. It becomes a therapy group when there is a trained professional addressing to different people, addressing to the audience and getting information from them. Okay? Limitations of this would be when it's quite unfocused and impersonal. You do not get your customized treatment here. Right? At the same time, since discussions are going on in the group, people may have opinions that, you know, this happened and the reason behind this particular problem could be XYZ. The other person may say, no, it has to be ABC. There are chances of conflicts between members while they are discussing things. Possibility, right? Then it is not suitable for a person who is very emotionally fragile, who is in a very vulnerable condition and maybe has suicidal tendencies. Okay, because over there the group may not be as helpful. That person may need some immediate help at that point in time, one-on-one. Okay, so it may not be a very favorable scenario when it comes to these kind of cases. Okay, and also one disadvantage is that maybe the person is comfortable with the therapist, but because it's a group, they may not be wanting to disclose certain things. They may not be wanting to talk about certain issues. Yeah, because others are not known. Right? So that is kind of hampered. So the purpose of the therapy is dissolved when something like this happens. Okay? So these are some of the limitations of group therapy. Now when I'm talking about family therapy, I'm clubbing in relationships, I'm clubbing in parent-child, I'm also clubbing in family, including the extended ones. The premise of family therapy states that we are a part of this unit called family. Okay, so we have, mother, father, children and people around in the family, and every member is contributing in some way or the other to each other, knowingly, unknowingly. So we function as a unit. So let's say there is somebody who says that in my family this person is very dominating, बहुत चिल्लाता है, बहुत झगड़ा करता है, and so on and so forth. There would be elements in different people who may be catering to that. For example, let's say the husband is a very short-tempered kind of a person. The wife on the other hand may be submissive, who may be taking in completely. That okay, he's throwing things and okay, कुछ मत बोलना वो गुस्से में, things like that. So that way, the entire setup is functioning. One person is submissive, the other person is dominating. So when it comes to family therapy, it is like if you're trying to create a shift in the setup, even a little bit of shift in one of the units would change the unit into a completely different thing, would lead to a change. So it's like this kind of a setup. We are all sitting over here, right? We are all kind of forming this structure, facing this side, I'm facing that side. If I move this chair over here and he starts facing you, and let's say he changes his position, the entire setup would look completely different. Alright? So this is about individuals, and let's say everyone creates that kind of a shift. So that leads to a greater impact. So it's a very powerful way of going about with any major change creation process in the family. Alright? And it is also one of the most difficult parts, because you're catering to so many people, like 4 or 5 is a lot at a time. So it happens at individual levels also. They will also have group sessions of people. So together it would be discussed whatever the issue is, and even at an individual level to get different perspectives of persons. Now the limitation is that when it comes to, let's say, married couples, alright, let's say there are in-laws sitting around, they may not be as comfortable to open about private matters in front of the others. They may not be wanting to say there is something wrong between the two of them and in a different area altogether than what they are addressing to over here. Right? Maybe one partner wants the relationship, the other partner does not want the relationship but is just over here because the parents are sitting over here, which is a possibility. So it dilutes the whole purpose. Right? All the members may not be interested to join for the sessions. They may say एक बार आ गए, 2 बार आ गए, बस बहुत हो गया, हम नहीं आएंगे. हमको तो कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, इसको सुधारो, इसमें तकलीफ है सब. Very common. I don't have any problem. This one keeps doing this. Yeah. So this is one drawback of it. Also, there could be disputes during the session which can disturb the process. So let's say one person comes and says, you know what, when people talk like this in the house, I feel so affected. फिर तो झगड़ा होना ही है. The person says, I don't talk like that. You are the one who says things, and there goes the conflict. Okay, so that leads to a disturbance in the process, and organizing sessions becomes very difficult because you're supposed to cater to schedules of so many people, check your schedule, and then if you have to call them collectively, then do so, and trying to meet the needs and expectations of different people, right? So that is one tricky part. If I have to just focus on one element of it, where it comes to relationship counseling or couple counseling, again disadvantage could be when they have completely different goals. Like as I said earlier, one person wants it, the other person wants to move out of it. We have to kind of bring them together to be able to sort of lead to some sort of a balance. Okay? It could also be between parent and child. The child wants to, let's say, do something else, move out and settle. The parents may not want it. The distress could be because of that. Goals are completely different. Right? So it is where you allow them to come to a middle ground, help them to do that. But ultimately the choice is always the client's. We don't force our choice. Now I'm going to talk about different kinds of psychotherapies, broad categorizations that we have. Okay? So there are different kinds and different schools of thought. Alright? And people have their own approaches, people have their own ways of working with those approaches, and there are multiple processes in each of these approaches, each of these therapies that I'm going to talk about. Okay? The first and the oldest one being psychoanalytical or psychodynamic therapy. Freud. Yeah, rings a bell. So, psychoanalysis or psychoanalytic, and eventually it got developed and the new version is called psychodynamic. Alright. It is about exploring a person's unconscious mind through spontaneous association. Alright, haven't we seen in these kind of films that they kind of go to spontaneous association? Okay, first word that comes to your mind when I say sky, first word that comes to your mind when I say chair.
Metaphor or something.
Like metaphor, but this is more about association.
Okay.
Okay, so they play games. Many children also play games. One example would be, if at all you've seen this film, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, long back, where they had this thing, okay, sky, air, water, what's the next word that comes to your mind, and so on and so forth. Okay, that's kind of an association done in a very technical way. It was a very random example. So that's how the association is, people do de-layering, the therapist would do de-layering and come to the core issue of it. The premise is that it is, that there are certain things that may have happened in the childhood which is leading to some sort of a trauma in the adulthood, which is what you need to become aware of so that you are functioning in a better way when you are an adult now. That is the premise of the entire thing, where you are recovering your repressed feelings. Okay, so they use a lot of dream work also, because dreams are also an act of the unconscious mind, and there are various processes through which they de-layer and bring you to the core of the issue, but it is very, very time consuming.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is one of the limitations to it. There is a lot of focus on analysis, because even the therapist would get into some sort of an interpretation of what has happened. Okay, that interpretation need not be completely right. Okay, so small example, let's say there is a person who believes, who sees snakes in the dreams. For that person, snakes is like danger. Okay, scared of the snakes. Let's say there is another person. For that person, snakes means Lord Shiva, is a believer of Lord Shiva. For that person, this becomes a positive thing. Oh, must be God's blessings in my dreams. So their meanings of the dreams change completely. If the interpretation based on whatever knowledge the therapist has is not accurate, the whole process can go for a toss. Alright? And it is not focusing on other elements like the biological element, the cultural element of where the client comes from. They are only recovering information and trying to, because that's how it is constructed, it's one of the oldest approaches. You know, trying to go to the core of it. And it is not suitable for everybody. Okay? It may not be very suitable for people who have very severe mental disorders. They may not be in touch with reality. They may not be able to engage in these kind of de-layerings that are taking place. Or if they are emotionally very vulnerable, they may not be in a position to go through this. And psychoanalysis, if you read Freud's work, he's criticized for it in a way, where there is a lot of focus on sex. Even the interpretations for certain things and metaphors seen in the dreams and so on are very related to sex, which need not be necessary. Yeah? So these are the limitations of this kind of an approach.
And what about these therapists' beliefs?
Yes, so therapists believe, which is actually a part of the whole of it. When I talk about therapy in
Because
general,
he will analyze and interpretation will be based on his beliefs, which may not be correct.
Which is correct. So what happens is, when we talk about beliefs of the therapist, in general this is applicable across all the therapies, not just psychoanalysis. Keeping interpretations and everything aside, if you carry your belief system in the therapy, it will go for a toss. So as an individual, I may feel that I may feel that, let's say, relationships would work for eternity. Kuch bhi ho jaye, people can make a relationship work. I may believe in it strongly. And this person comes and says, you know, I want to be able to deal with the divorce and I'll have to face some losses and all of that. I need some help with it. I cannot say, no, why do you want divorce? I'll help you fix your marriage. None of my business. I have to keep the potla of my belief system aside and work with the client in the boundaries of ethics. Yeah?
Sister, what is this analysis, paralysis?
Yeah, so if there is too much of analysis, people, as they say, it leads to paralysis. So there is, it's a saying. So too much of analysis is
बाजू में रह
done.
जाता है, खाली एनालिसिस ही हो जाता है पूरा.
Okay? cognitive and behavior therapies. Alright, this is a very popular kind right now, and it is based on the way you think or the way you behave. Okay, there are different categories. So there is just behavior therapy, there is cognitive therapy, there is cognitive analytic, and then there is cognitive behavior therapy, where thoughts and behaviors both are put together and worked upon. So it's like there are certain thoughts and behaviors which are sort of a hindrance towards certain outcomes that you may have. So once you work upon those thoughts and behaviors, it's obviously easy to achieve those outcomes. So they make you aware of it and they give you certain processes to change those thoughts and behaviors, the CBT practitioners. Alright? Now the limitations is that it involves confronting, one of the factors is that it involves confronting your emotions and anxiety. You feel low about yourself, you have to kind of face it. Things like it addresses to your current problems and specific issues. It doesn't take too much of information from where it is coming from. Like psychoanalysis will be a lot of information from the past. This one wouldn't do that. Okay? Which is one of the limitations, that it addresses only the current specific problems and doesn't focus as much into the past, which may be essential in some cases where you would like to know where this is coming from. It is because it's important for the therapy. Okay? It minimizes personal history, it doesn't focus much on emotions. Although you're confronting and you're kind of becoming aware of how you're feeling, the emotional part of it is not completely taken care of. Although they say many a times, the skilled ones, that once you've taken care of the thoughts and the behaviors, your emotions are also managed. But the critics say it's not done as effectively the way it is done in other approaches. Alright? And it may not be suitable for, again, people who may have certain difficulties, like severe mental health needs or some sort of difficulties in terms of comprehending certain processes that are being done. Okay? So, it is not very, very suitable for everybody. Alright? This one is again quite popular, REBT, Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy. Okay, so rational emotive behavior therapy is again a form of cognitive therapy. Alright, it is very action oriented and it also leads to very good results. Alright, so they have this typical model. They have this typical model, this ABC, which is quite popular. Alright, and which is a very nice one to know. So ABC, A is the activating event or the activating agent. Alright. B becomes your beliefs. C becomes your consequence. And your consequence would be your response plus emotion. Alright, so to give you an example, let's say there are two boys, boy A and boy B. The activating agent or the event is that both of them, okay, so boy A goes home, his father comes, sees his friends, shouts at the boy. Okay. Consequences that later, once the friends leave, the boy goes to the father and picks up a fight. Boy B goes home with friends, father looks at the friends, shouts at him. Consequence, after the friends leave, he goes to the father and expresses concern and worry. One of them has a belief that my father hates me. One believes that my father loves me, cares for me. Which one do you think?
Second one cares.
Second one cares. So what happens is, it is not about the consequence per se. Consequence has taken place. But it is about the belief which is leading to this particular consequence. So if since boy A, let's say, believed that my father hates me, the event was that, okay, father came and shouted at me, led to certain emotions of anger and sadness and how could, he say this in front of my friends. So he went and he picked up a fight. On the other hand, the other boy believes that my father loves for me and cares for me and loves me. So he goes to the father and says, what happened? You shouted in front of my friends, must be something really important. So that becomes the consequence. So they work on challenging any irrational beliefs, is the word they use, any belief which is not as fruitful for them or doing some sort of harm to them. Okay? So that is about REBT, a very powerful kind of a modality with again a little limitations from its side. It's very, very confrontational in nature because you're challenging your belief. directly. Okay. Some find it a little
Without confrontation, he cannot dig out.
right. So what happens is there are subtle approaches. REBT, why is it called confrontation in nature, is because many a times it becomes harsh for people. So there are certain techniques like shame attacking techniques. So let's say a person says, I feel very nervous, I go walk in the park and all, and I can't pick up conversations with others. So they just say, go talk to the person, you meet the first person, just go and talk to them. That may be too drastic a step for some people. Yeah, so that is one of the things. So it can become too harsh for people, and at times they may find it very degrading and forceful. Okay, that I can't be doing this, it's a little difficult to do. Yeah. People with low frustration toleration may struggle more with this kind of a process, and it may not be suitable for certain cultural groups if you go to see. For example, in India, okay, when you talk about some sort of a confrontation or some sort of you can say talking to authority in a certain way, go speak to the person, just go and do it. They may not be very comfortable with this kind of an approach. They may be looking up to the therapist because that's the kind of culture we have. There is somebody, there's a doctor, there's a senior, that respect and everything comes in, but that's not the kind of rapport the therapist and the client may share, because the therapist presumes a different kind of a role. So it is not a very subtle kind of a thing. Certain cultural groups may be very vulnerable to these kind of things where it comes to confrontation. Alright? Talking about even CBT and REBT, they do not focus much on the unconscious mind.
No focus on unconscious.
On unconscious mind. That's ideally for both. There's no focus on unconscious mind. So psychoanalysis focuses a lot on unconscious mind. On the other hand, CBT, REBT does not focus on the unconscious mind. Okay? They are more to do with the conscious mind.
You mean underlying emotions or something?
Yeah, at times it doesn't get addressed as effectively. Yeah? Humanistic therapies. Now this is a very philosophical side of psychology, considering psychology is coming from philosophy. Okay? It focuses on holistic growth of the person and it puts the client on the higher level, like client knows better. That's the approach. Okay, so in other approaches it is where the therapist is slightly on a higher pedestal. Over here the client is on a higher pedestal, that the client knows better. Transactional analysis is one of it. Existential therapy, Gestalt or Gestalt therapy.
What is existential?
Existential, it's more of a philosophical approach in terms of talking about
Stories and all?
sort of. So it will have things, all of it will have all these elements. So existential would be more to do with existence and a philosophical bent of it. And Gestalt would be more where you're talking about the present and focusing on how you go ahead with it. And there are different cathartic techniques in that. So these are very nice approaches. So for example, transactional analysis would have this, like you have these three personalities, parent, child and adult. So how you address to one another and so on. So that's the technical aspect of it. But they are more concerned with, you can say, the philosophical part is how you define it. The limitation that it suffers from is that it ignores biology. A lot of it ignores the unconscious mind, and at the same time it is not very scientific when it comes to certain concepts. Alright, so it cannot be like your way of looking at things or your way of going about things may be different from mine. It does not have very defined ways of going about with the processes or the, you can say, theoretical foundation. So it's kind of criticized for that. And along with that, people say that it's more biased towards the Western culture. It may not suit the other cultures. That happens with most therapies. It will be different in nature. Okay. Solution focused brief therapy, similar to the humanistic approach. Over here, this is like the briefest form of therapy you'll come across. Okay, where certain questions are asked to people. Okay, and the therapist will then help clients identify their own strengths and their own weaknesses and how they can manage to deal with them. It is something which focuses more on getting to the solution than problem solving. Alright? And it is supposed to be for a specific goal. So it doesn't focus.
You mean, what are the available choices at that time?
Available choices at that time. You have this outcome. What are the things you need to do? What have you been doing about it, and how you think?
Action oriented.
Very action oriented and very goal specific. It wouldn't dwell too much into your emotions about it. How do you feel about it? What have you been, considering yourself to be, and not much of meaning finding. It's more like, okay, very direct and specific. It's very short in nature. Okay? And it does not focus too much, which is the limitation, too much on catharsis, what I just said. There's not too much of focuses on catharsis, emotional vent out, and may not work very well with clients who have severe mental illness. At the same time, it may not be suitable for all cultural groups where there are some people, there are cultures where you'd like to share and talk and express and all. May not be suitable for such people. And again, may not develop a very good bond between the therapist and the client because of its nature. And that may create another kind of a disadvantage to the therapy, because the rapport between the therapist and the client needs to be very good. If the client is not as comfortable in trusting the therapist, the process wouldn't be as effective. Okay. Then hypnotherapy. Now hypnotherapy, people say it's a different branch altogether. It's not a different branch per se, it is hypnosis plus any therapy. Okay. So that is why it's called hypnotherapy. It's derived out of different approaches and is very close to psychoanalysis. And it deals with the conscious as well as the unconscious mind. Although there is a myth that it only deals with the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind, it is not the case. It will have to go through the conscious and then to the unconscious mind. Okay? And it is about putting a person in an altered state, a different kind of a state of mind, wherein the person is more receptive to accept something that they have decided. So the myth that you can make people do things and you can make them act like donkey monkeys and all, that's not possible. Nor can anyone control the other person's mind. Okay? Had that been the case, I would have built another antenna next to Ambani's incident. So that doesn't happen. And it cannot be used with people who are not in touch with reality. Alright? Also, willingness is the key. You wouldn't be able to go ahead with hypnosis if the person is not cooperating with you. It's not possible. Okay? Now, creative therapies are certain art-based therapies. They involve different elements, like it has drama therapy, there is dance and movement therapy, there is art therapy, like the drawing part of it, music therapy. These are the different kinds, and it involves the use of all of these things in a very therapeutic kind of an environment. Okay? Because all these forms wouldn't need verbal expressions, it becomes very easy for people who may have certain difficulties in expressing themselves verbally. They may just express them through the forms of drawings, through the forms of movements, or through the forms of music. Yeah? So that's how art therapies work. So the therapist will engage people in, different kinds of activities, may interpret the movements, and then go about with their processes. Limitation of this is that for some populations it may not appear to be too relevant. Like adults, some adults may find it very silly. Ye kya kar raha hai? They may not like it. Results can be very delayed because it is not as structured. And obviously the result would vary from therapy to therapy. It cannot be very defined because individuals may open up differently through art at different levels. Okay. Another area when I talk about limitation would be the difference between skill and state. Okay? Okay, what is skill and state? Now, what is skill? Forget everything else. What is skill according to you?
Inborn talent.
Inborn talent, okay.
Certain ability to perform certain or act in some situation.
Some ability to act in some way. Could be inborn, could be cultivated. So what's a state? By state I mean to say mental state.
How you react in any way, any situation.
So reaction would still be behavior, it could be emotions or the feelings associated to it. Okay? So my skill would be, let's say, driving. My mental state would be, let's say, confidence. So that would be skill state. Alright? Where things majorly go wrong in terms of therapy is when there is overemphasis on catharsis. Okay, catharsis is very good and important, but only catharsis per se need not be sufficient. And there is a lack of focus on skill development. Okay, so a person may say, I am going through this relationship turmoil and I am having troubles and difficulties, and my partner has left me, so on and so forth, and I'm feeling very low. I'm having troubles in coping up with it. Many people would only emphasize on that person feeling better, vent out and release the feelings and so on and so forth. And skill building would be where the person can manage the similar situation, God forbid, in the future, to be able to handle themselves, the coping part of it. That part is not done many a times. So again, if a similar situation arises where the person is rejected, the person goes down the drain again. They go again, same thing has happened. Setback. Okay? So what happens is that when there is only catharsis, let's say this person had a relationship failure, made to feel better using different processes, breathe in, breathe out, and do other things, and you'll be fine. Person starts feeling better. Eventually, over a period of time, people do settle and get back to their routine. Alright? Situation is repeated again in a different level. Okay? Now this person may, in the beginning, try to suppress the emotion using those cathartic techniques. I talk about the cathartic techniques also, venting out. Suppressing emotions. Eventually the person keeps suppressing the emotions, not addressing it, gussa aa raha hai, bura lag raha hai, everything. Eventually leads to internalizing. So now internalizing is like a pile of so many emotions and a lot of episodes wherein the person kept feeling rejected, kept feeling low, and is still trying. You may see people writing diaries and diaries every day and still there is no difference. रोज ना जाके 15-20 मिनट हम लिख के आते बहुत अच्छा लगता है, but have you done something about it? Right? And then this eventually leads to a breakdown. Now we are storing that excessive whatever baggage that we have in our system would eventually lead to a breakdown. The person would break down at some point in time. There would be outbursts of crying, there could be some sort of a physical breakdown. So breakdown can be either behavioral or it could be physical in nature. Many times haven't we heard of people who have these illnesses and it's all stress related? There's some sort of a breakdown taking place. Yeah? So that happens. How psychotherapy overall helps? It helps in different areas. It helps people to manage their behaviors, thoughts, emotions, overall, all therapies. Okay? It helps them with coping skills also. Also, the skill of the therapist comes over here as to how this is used. Can be used for performance enhancement, goal accomplishment, and a lot more. It's not just limited to this. In different areas, different approaches can be very, very powerful, very, very useful. And how do we overcome any limitations of therapies? One is by integrating psychotherapies. Some therapies may focus only on unconscious, as I said, some are focusing only on conscious. Integrate the approaches together. It may give you better results. Getting fixated with just one form may not be of some help. It's like Crocin diya headache ke liye, Crocin for stomach ache, Crocin for hand, and Crocin for eyes. Why? Right? Be flexible enough to mix approaches as and when needed. Understanding catharsis in its right sense. So these are some of the techniques of catharsis. One is talking it out. Okay? Maybe talking it out to a friend. Creative writing. Alright? It's supposed to be creative writing. Yeah? Writing it out, diary entry. But when you're making diary entry, remember to tear off the pages and throw it. Okay? Keeping confidentiality aside, it could also lead to certain other complications. So there is this person who said, I write this diary and I still feel very bad. Why? How come you still feel bad? You know, then I read after 3-4 days and I feel so terrible about whatever has happened. It's like putting your kachra in the dustbin and hugging the dustbin and sleeping every night. Don't do that. You're writing a diary entry, tear it off, throw it away, dispose it.
Jab bhi make me flush it out.
Flush it out. Yeah, unless you want want to create an autobiography of miseries in life, that's up to you. Okay? Physical activity of your choice. You want to engage in dance, movement, you want to go for a walk, you want to do some exercises, go ahead and do that. People say punch pillows, there are punching bags in the offices, but remember, you don't want to form an association. Har time gussa hai, you want to punch someone or something.
And you will not change your thinking.
Yeah, so that is very important. Creating art can be again a very good idea. And skill versus state is what needs to be kept in mind. So people say, but how can we teach skills as therapists? Therapists would say this, understandable. We don't know all the skills to be able to teach these skills. So people will say, okay, I want to cultivate the skill of driving. I am not a driving school, I cannot teach driving. I teach hypnosis to people and NLP to people. Yeah? So encourage the person to join a driving school because the person wants to learn driving. Maybe motivate the person and let's say help the person to stay calm while he or she is learning how to drive. That will be my contribution towards skill development of that person. Okay? So even skill development is very, very essential. Alright? Overall, psychotherapies do work. It depends on the skills of your therapist. Always check their qualifications. Alright? If there are even many a times people conduct kind of small programs and intro talks and meetups, go for that, attend it and try to get something out of it because it would be of some help to you and if not to you, somebody else that you could refer to. So even things like people say that, I would just like to get an idea of what things are. So for example about marriage or let's say about parent-child or let's say about just relationship between people, how is it? So there are many people who keep conducting workshops, small ones, introductory ones. There will be people who will be doing things on parent-child specifically or just related to exam specifically. So for example, I am conducting a small workshop on relationship on July 26-27. That will be just like a small part of it and then we give follow-up sessions post that to people. That kind of works upon. So people have inquired, okay, we'll just come for an introductory thing, we'll get an idea. So we arrange for an introductory talk like that. So people get an idea as to what's going to happen. All of these things are done. So keep an eye on all of it, check all these events and everything that come across. Something or the other would be beneficial for you or your near and dear ones. Right? So this is about it. Thank you so much. I hope you had fun as much as I did.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.